Hi there, this is Andrea Mowry of Drea Renee Knits, and today I am going to be demonstrating double brioche using two colors. This video is going to be focusing on continental style knitting, holding the working yarn in my left hand, also known as picking. If you prefer to hold your working yarn in your right hand, also known as English style or throwing, you're going to want to check out the other video tutorial for double brioche that I have linked below. So let's get started. You're going to want to cast on a number divisible by 4. So I am starting with 16 stitches cast on with my main color here. The edges of our swatch are just going to remain in stockinette stitch, so we will only work them with our main color, and we will knit them on the right side, purl them on the wrong side. Don't worry if you forget that, I'll mention it a lot as we go. All right, let me get my little tail out of the way here. So for this first row, this is a setup row. This is how we set up our double brioche. We are simply going to knit the edge stitch. And now we are going to bring our yarn forward for a slip 2 yarn over. So we are going to slip 2 stitches purlwise because we don't want to twist them. So we just move them from our left hand needle tip over to our right hand, and then we cross a yarn over both of these stitches, and then we're going to knit 2. Yarn forward, slip 2, yarn over, knit 2. Yarn forward, slip 2, yarn over, knit 2. Yarn forward, slip 2, yarn over, and now we are just going to knit that last stitch. We can go ahead and drop our main color, and then you're just going to pull your needle tip so that your stitches go back to the other end of your needle. You know you've done this correctly if your ball yarn is on your cord. If it's over here, this is just my tail, but if your ball yarn's hanging over here, that means you accidentally turned your work. You need to turn back and then slide, because we are going to work this same row again using our contrast color. So here's my contrast color. I want to start by getting this edge stitch just out of the way by slipping it, because I'm not going to work it with my contrast color. So first up, we had done a slip 2 yarn over to begin this row after our edge stitch. So we want to insert our needle tip as if to purl in both the first slip stitch and the yarn over. And then what I like to do is just purl that yarn, my new color, right in. But as we go to slip these off, we actually want to keep our yarn over because we need to work it with our other slip stitch as well. So only drop your first slip stitch off the needle. And now we're going to brioche purl the yarn over and the second slip stitch together. And then both can come off. We're all done with them. So can you kind of see how the yarn over goes across both of those stitches that we had originally slipped in the first pass of this row? Now our yarn's already in front where we need it, so we're going to go ahead and slip 2, and then we're going to complete the yarn over by bringing our yarn back in front so it's ready to brioche purl the next 2 stitches. So it kind of looks like 3 stitches, but you can see that one of those is going diagonally across, and that's our yarn over. So we are going to insert our needle tip into the first slip stitch and the yarn over, and we're going to brioche purl them together, only letting the slipped stitch fall off so that we can use the yarn over again to brioche purl the second stitch, and then everything can come off. Our yarn's already in front where we need it, so we can slip 2, yarn over, and then we have to brioche purl 1, keeping our yarn over, and 2. And then we're going to slip 2, yarn over. Now let's say that as you brioche purl this first stitch, you do accidentally grab both the slip stitch and the yarn over. No big deal, just go ahead and use that left needle tip to grab that yarn over and just bring it right back up onto your needle. And go ahead and brioche purl the yarn over and the second slip stitch. It's now time to drop our contrast color. We're going to let it fall in front where it naturally wants to go, and then we're just going to slip that last edge stitch. And now our 2 working yarns are together, and it is time to turn our work. So when they're together, we get to turn. And now we are going to go back to using our main color. We are going to now purl our edge stitch because we are on the wrong side of our work. And we are going to slip 2, yarn over. Brioche purl 2, so we brioche purl the first slip stitch with its yarn over, only dropping off the slip stitch, and then brioche purl the second slip stitch with the yarn over, and now both can come off. Slip 2, yarn over, brioche purl 2. And just to show you again, if you accidentally pull off that yarn over, all you do is use your needle tip to lift it right back onto your needle. And now you can brioche purl the second stitch as well. Slip 2, yarn over, brioche purl 2. Slip 2, yarn over, and I'm going to go ahead and just purl that last stitch. I can drop my main color, and now my working yarns are separate. They're on separate ends, so that means it's time to slide. When they're separate, you slide. And we are going to go ahead and use our contrast color again, and now we get to brioche knit or bark. So we're going to go ahead and slip that edge stitch since we don't use it with our contrast color, and we are going to brioche knit twice. So we brioche knit 1 time, only slip off your slip stitch, leaving our yarn over to brioche knit 1 more time, and then both can come off. We now need to bring our yarn forward, slip 2, yarn over, brioche knit 2. Again, if it pops off, that's okay. Just slip it right back on and brioche knit your second stitch. Yarn forward, slip 2, yarn over, brioche knit 1, brioche knit 2. Yarn forward, slip 2, yarn over, brioche knit 1, and brioche knit 2. And we're just going to slip the edge stitch. Everything a little tug, tighten it up on the edge there. And now we are ready to turn our work. I'm going to show you one last pass of this right side row, since last time we worked it, it was a setup row to begin with, so that you can see the full repeat. So using our main color, we are going to knit the edge stitch, yarn forward, slip 2, yarn over. Make sure when you're yarning over on these brioche knit rows that you're just leaving the yarn over the top of the needle hanging out and back here. You don't want to bring it up front because then you wouldn't be able to knit with it. So now we're going to brioche knit the first stitch, boop, and the second stitch. Yarn forward, slip 2, yarn over, brioche knit 1, brioche knit 2. Yarn forward, slip 2, yarn over, brioche knit 1, brioche knit 2. Yarn forward, slip 2, and here's our last edge stitch which we knit. And so you can see how we have these wider bars going through across 2 stitches and then our double brioche columns there. So we need to slide our work back to the beginning of the needle so that we can work with our contrast color before we can turn. And we're going to be purling with our contrast color. So we're going to slip our edge stitch out of the way, and we are going to brioche purl 1, keeping our yarn over, and brioche purl 2. Our yarn should already be in front, so we are ready to slip 2, yarn over, brioche purl 1, keeping our yarn over so we can brioche purl 2. Slip 2, yarn over, brioche purl 1, brioche purl 2. Slip 2, yarn over, brioche purl 1, brioche purl 2. We can drop our contrast color to the front, slip our last stitch because it's an edge stitch, and we are now ready to turn our work, and you can just continue repeating those double pass rows. It's a 2-row repeat, 2 passes per row to build up your fabric. I hope you give it a try. Happy knitting.